And we are live. Welcome to another episode of the Tricolour Reds. Unfortunately, we're missing one of the star co-hosts in Nigel this week. But as always, we have myself, Dick, and Khaled. And I hope you all enjoyed the show.
Welcome everyone. We're still on zero viewers, but still welcome everyone. Another episode. Last week we ended it saying that hopefully next week's episode will be a happy one, where we can say this is a happy one. It's a tough one, but it's still a happy one.
Hmm.
Joined by the Reds, Darragh, Deck, and Nigel is not here this week, and he will be joining us back next week. But straight to the point, I named this episode "Back to Fergie Time." I loved it when I was writing it. It's like it's bringing so much good memories. And we have our first viewers. Hello, please write your name. Let us know who you are in the chat. I don't know because you cannot see names. And Deck, I know you were supposed to go to this game, but things went differently to about work and everything. You were supposed to be in my seat. How bad was it when you were watching to know that if you were sitting there, you would have seen that live in the stadium? And tell me, how did you live that last minute? How was the rush, the emotion? I'll tell you how I lived it. I wasn't so positive, but I know we shared it in chat. But I'll start with you because you were supposed to sit there, and if you did go, you would have said yes. You have to go to every game because we went to games and we lost. You're the only hope still left for the tricolor red. And I'm starting with you. How did you live that last minute? How did you live the game? How did you the emotions go up and down and then really up and Brentford game?
Yeah, it's definitely football is definitely a roller coaster of emotions. I mean, up to the 90th minute, I couldn't believe what I was watching, and I was really down. But anyone who says you're not going to celebrate two goals in injury time to win a game, no matter who it's against, I mean, it was unbelievable. I was jumping around the place. I thought it was great, and fair play to Scott coming on and doing it, and it was brilliant. It lifted everyone's spirits, and it did bring us back to Fergie time. I mean, Fergie time wasn't made up or anything. It's our club will go to the bitter end to win a game, no matter what. And we've seen it so many times. It's just a brilliant part of our culture. Might be good for the heart at times, but every fan who was in that stadium would have loved what they saw. It was just epic. It was brilliant. Ten Hag's reaction at the end, the players' reaction. Um, the Brentford fans who've been singing all game suddenly went very quiet. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just brilliant. It's a great way to finish a game. I just hope they don't do it in every game to us.
No, no, hopefully not. I just feel sorry for two people mainly. One, everyone who left when we were at 1-0, 90.
Mm-hmm.
Super sad for them. They missed. Imagine you're in the parking and you're starting your car and then you hear it in 1 minute, two goals, boom, boom, or like 2 minutes. And then I'm sorry, I feel sorry for, and I saw this from Darragh, from the admin of social media at Brentford. They might have prepared a graphic or something about how they won in Old Trafford. Boom, it's not happening. And Dara, because I saw your post, so I'm back to you because I always steal your lines, and then I claim it. It's
Always
mine.
bad.
So how did you live that roller coaster in the last 2-3 minutes?
Well, at the end of the day, what more can you say about the game that hasn't been said at this point? Dick put a point into it. This club it was always built. Well, I won't say it was always built. It was always built on going to the bitter end. Fergie time has instilled that in us, where you will fight for the bitter end. You will fight to the whistle. Like on an overall, it was a poor performance. Just I was just sitting there watching on my phone. I had the notifications on all my social medias turned off because I knew the stream would be behind. So I knew I didn't want to. I wanted to have my own natural reaction rather than seeing someone's after scoring and I'm just waiting for the goal to happen. So watching it as if I was watching it in real time on the stream, it felt surreal to see it. But like as I always said now in the last number of games, it's becoming or a common theme for Man United, and it's a bad one. We play fantastic for the first 25 minutes. We'll concede, and then after we concede that first goal, what is anything that has to happen after that? It's a roller coaster because you don't know if we're going to actually fight back, if we're just going to get absolutely hammered. There's no in or out to it. you either have us playing fantastic for the first 25 minutes, peppering the goalkeeper, which, to be fair, I won't even say about peppering the goalkeeper. I will give credit where I am right now to Ethan Pinnock. That man played out of his skin the first half alone. And, in fairness, he continued into the second half. But honestly, just the consistency of what a centre-back should be like. And I would never say off a one-off performance get him to United, but we would need someone like Ethan Pinnock where he's kind of in the way that Lisandro Martinez was last year at Man United. He was throwing himself in the kitchen sink at the ball, making sure he was in for every challenge and actually properly defending. If we can get someone like that in a ball-carrying centre-back like Varane, who can actually stay consistently fit, then we might have a stellar back pairing if Martinez comes back to his old ways. So, but on an overall basis, I found it was interesting to see that Casemiro was brought off at halftime, but I was even more intrigued by what Ten Hag had to say after the final whistle, that he wanted to see more football, where the way it was interpreted is that he wanted to see Christian Eriksen try to break the lines. We were doing that already with and I'm not trying to say it was right or wrong to bring him off. Having the way they were playing, trying to break the line as it was, I can understand where you could probably have Amrabat playing in that Casemiro-esque role, kind of playing back a small bit and having Eriksen break the lines with the spraying of the passes. But it was just interesting to see. I didn't imagine Casemiro being brought off, and I suppose that will kind of instill, as we were kind of mentioning about the time of Sir Alex Ferguson, Casemiro would be a prime example. It doesn't matter who you are, if you're performing badly at half time, you will be hooked off straight up. And that's one thing I like about Ten Hag. He's not afraid to make daring choices. We'll always question them when it happens, but of course, if it pays off, we'll be joyous of it. If it doesn't pay off, we might be questioning it after as a would have, could have, should have, as they say. But other than that, it was brilliant to take that into international break. And look, it's 3 points. It might be the confidence booster we actually needed, and even Harry Maguire said it in the interviews after, it was the injection they needed. So if Harry Maguire saying that, I don't think there's anything wrong with anyone else saying it. Then
okay, agree. And you've covered many parts, and here I'm jumping to some stats. And you've known me for the past episode. I always love looking at the stats, so it gives us some starting points. And here I want to share the stats of a player that, to be fair, he impressed me in the game. So he made assist 63 passes, 59 respective passes. 88% of his passes were accurate and touched the ball 69 times during the game, but unfortunately he didn't win any tackle, and that would be Harry Maguire. And when you look at the stats, I won't say it's great stats, it's good stats. With the shaky things that happened to Harry Maguire over the past weeks, months, and year, I would say. But I believe that Harry Maguire pulled a decent game, a respectful game. If it were against Man City or Liverpool, I believe it would have been harder, to be fair, if you got Haaland or you got Mo Salah up there. But what do you think about the performance that we've seen from Harry Maguire in this game? And Dec, come back to you here. How would you judge it? Do you see Harry Maguire fighting back for his place and just proving to Ten Hag that he's worth to be the centre back at Man United?
I think Harry had a good performance, great assist for the winner. I think what went wrong for Harry Maguire, my opinion has always been he got the captaincy too easy, and being captain of Manchester United is a lot of pressure. The world's media is on Manchester United, and if you put one foot out of place, you're hammered for it. I think he's going to get better now that he doesn't have the responsibility of being captain. Leave him concentrate on his defending. He didn't become a bad defender overnight, but when you have people continuously slating every performance, and look, I haven't been happy with a lot of what he's done in the past year, but seeing signs of him coming back, I think there's a chance he could get back into Ten Hag's plans if he keeps improving. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Interesting. And Darragh, what about you? What do you see, especially when Martinez is back, and how will it go?
Like, personally with me, I would still like, and this is just on a personal opinion, and this isn't a slate on Harry Maguire. I would still pick Johnny Evans over him just because of the versatility and how much of a better compact defender he is. Like I would honestly say I highly rate Maguire if he was in a different team, because the setup is completely different. So at the end of the day, he in my opinion is not a Manchester United player, and I would. It's hard to say really, because when he first came into the club, the performance he was putting in under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it actually said, okay, maybe in time if he kicks on, it might actually be worth the 80 million price tag. But it just fell apart straight away, and it's like it's hard to say. We actually needed him in that Europa League final, really, in the be all end all, because our performances leading up to the Europa League final, we showed we needed Harry Maguire. But now that we have someone like Rafael Varane, Lindelof, hell, I'm going to say it, Johnny Evans, but we have Lindelof as well. We have 4 good centre backs as well as Maguire. No, fair enough. Johnny Evans is only a bit part player in all of this, but when you consider we have Varane, Lindelof, and Martinez, all 3 good centre backs. Sorry, one being world class centre back in Varane because of his previous achievements. Lindelof had the potential to be great. Maybe it was just the fact the system didn't suit him until the versatility side of thing came in, because at the end of the day, Jose Mourinho, I remember wanted to play him as a ball playing CDM, but sure, that never happened. I would have been excited to see it now, like see what we're seeing with Lindelof being able to carry the ball forward. But to revert back to the original point, I'm happy with Maguire at the moment, because if he can remain consistent and basically not screw up any mistakes and not have anyone on his back, he might kick on himself and realize, okay, there might actually be a space for me here. But I do feel time might be up, and I'd want to be going off the pass with Harry Maguire, but if it's a case of, is it too little too late now?
Yeah, I agree. Okay. And here there's a question in the chat that none of us have the answer to, I know, but it's still the famous topic. And it says, any news? I'll just highlight it here on the screen. It says, any news for Qatar takeover? The famous story of our lives. And let's see how it goes. Something that got my attention this week is I saw a post about David Beckham that it's claimed that he will get an international ambassador role if the Qatari are to be the owners of Manchester United. What would you see? What would you think, Darragh, about this? Have you seen the documentary, and have you seen that massive boom of the image of David Beckham? And
truthfully, no. I've seen the clips here and there of the documentary, but I haven't sat down yet and had a proper chance to watch it, because truthfully, I'm just trying to get through so many different documentaries on Netflix and all the different streaming sites anyway. So hopefully this weekend now I get to sit down and watch it. But no, with David Beckham, David Beckham, if anything, was actually the one who ignited all the talk about Qatar again, because let's be honest, you see the way it's been on social media. It's been very dull. It's been I'm not too sure if any of you or if anyone who listens here keeps track of the New York Stock Exchange. I've been kind of keeping track of it with the whole going on with the takeover, to see how the share price will fluctuate and go up and down. And if anything, I'm actually going to go check now, because it was after spiking up earlier. So yeah, so it just kind of fall back under the $20 mark, but it went back over the $20 mark for the first time in about easily 3 or 4 weeks, just tonight alone. So I think the fact that David Beckham's after making that hint, there's something igniting. Now, I understand social media is igniting with different stories, but at the end of the day, as I always say on social media, you can't trust anyone that's not Reuters or Bloomberg, because at the end of the day, there's NDAs involved, and there's people putting up posts saying this is the big exclusive, and I'm just like, no, you're not Reuters, you're not Bloomberg, you're not a financial journalist. You don't know what you're talking about. And until the day we get the bomber, as we call it, from Reuters or Bloomberg, nothing will change. Unfortunately, the Glazers will still be in power until we get that proper official confirmation from a financial journalist. Because you can talk about your Fabrizio Romanos, your Laurie Whitwells. this is not a football journalist story. This is only for financial journalists.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Interesting thought. And to be fair, it's an endless point. And Deck, I'll move with you to another point, which is the next game that we're playing. It's with Sheffield, and I'm just looking at the table again. Sheffield sits at the bottom of the Premier League. 8 games, 7 losses, conceded 16 goals. No, minus 16 in goal difference. Sorry,
Mm.
and they never won in the Premier League yet this season. So they just have 1 point from a draw and 7 losses. And we go away and we're there 8 games, 4 wins, 4 losses, -3, 12 points. We're kind of in the middle between both sides. But from the look of it, there's a huge difference in potential of the players. There's a huge difference in the ability, in the technicality, and the physicality with the players. How would you see this away game against Sheffield Deck, and how can we go and get our first away win, hopefully? Not first, but our away win, yeah.
Yeah, I'd fully expect United to target this game for another three points because they're going to look at where Sheffield United are. The problem is when everyone plays Manchester United, they all turn into the Brazil team for some reason. We're the biggest show in town, Manchester United, and people know they're putting themselves in the shop window if they have a good game against us. But I definitely think United will have too much for them. There hasn't been a lot of investment in Sheffield for the Premier League. Premier League's totally different to any other league. You need huge investment for it. I'd expect us to get our away win there, another 3 points, and hopefully then we can start seeing us get on a roll and become more consistent displays. And I think when we get our injury situation sorted, we have an injury situation like no other team. We've a full team. We've a full team out, as good as. So there's better times ahead for United. I don't think Sheffield are going to test us too much. I hope not to be made eat my words on that, because I hope the team will be buoyed from that those 2 late goals. I mean, it can only breed confidence and stuff for the team. So yeah, 3 points for me anyway.
Hopefully. And when you said "eat my words," I remembered someone speaking about Newcastle going to be trashed, and they trashed PSG 4-1. You know?
No, no. Who said that?
Who said that?
I don't remember. Who said that?
I forgot. I forgot who said it. But let's wait for it. It's not over yet. Still 6 more games to go. So let's see. But Deck, you touched on a point that really hurts me, and you said we've got too many injuries. And I saw a picture the other day also on social media of a starting 11 of injured players from Man United, and it's a decent team. You've got Luke Shaw, you've got Sancho.
It's a star lineup. I remember. Yeah. I think I saw the same one. It's a full star lineup, like.
You can start a lineup. So, Darragh, would you start Johnny Evans against Sheffield and go for a win? What would you see?
It's interesting. I think it depends on when they all come back from the international break. No, we kind of have to see where our defense is lining up, because do we have to play Lindelof again on the wing back situation? And there was absolutely nothing wrong with him playing wing back there the last day. But if we're having to play one of our, I won't say he'd be one of our better centre backs, but one of our better choices, shall we say? If we have to play him as a wing back because he used to play there at Benfica, what does that say? But literally, while you were even lining up the question there for Deck about Sheffield United, I actually just had a quick gander as to the last game that Sheffield United played, and I wanted to see their lineup because I genuinely couldn't tell you who played in their lineup. And you want to know, he came off the bench, and I will gladly say, Deck, there's talking that chat that we have about reverse psychology. One of our buddies put in a joking bet, or saying, if I put 20 quid on Brentford, they'll probably lose.
Oh yeah.
You know who I'm on about.
I do.
Screw it, we'll say it now. Real Brewster. Honestly, I remember when he was at Liverpool, and I'm not ashamed to say I followed him closely, because in fairness, I actually genuinely thought he'd be a genuine threat going forward for the Liverpool lineup. And I'm actually surprised that he hasn't kicked on. But sure enough, no. Deck said it when United come to everyone's town, they play like they're the Brazilian national team. So what's to expect that Ryan Brewster will turn into R9? It's interesting. So then there's not many star-studded players but one good performance from against Man United, and everyone turns their head against and looks at the January transfer window and think, okay, maybe we can buy this player. He played well against United.
Yeah. Tough one. But yeah, hopefully we go out there and we get a win without a hustle. Let's also another goal now for me when I look at the international break and I was looking at the games, I was like wishing hopefully all of our players come back non-injured, because last time Mcabe did not start playing for United yet, and he came from international injured. Casemiro is having a long trip. They're playing Venezuela, and it's quite of a mix, and it'll be interesting. And still, when we go to January, February somewhere, still like you've got Anibal and Onana who will go for the African Nations Cup. So when will the Turkish lad get his chance? So at least we can start looking at him how it will go. But now the injuries really they keep me awake at night sometimes looking at it. Okay, when will this be back? When will Ten Hag? And especially what keeps me just thinking about it is that at the end of the month we play the noisy neighbors. So,
but of course they're after, to say at least, they're after falling into a bit of a slump now. They're after losing 2 games on the spin. So you never know.
Which is always nice to see. Yeah,
exactly.
Long may it continue for them.
Yeah. There'll be. It's an Old Trafford game, and let's see. And then you've got one of my good best friends joining us who doesn't understand anything about football. Layla is there, so hello, Layla. But still, I shared with her the link, and she's there, so you can thank her, guys, for just staying. But United talks, not understanding anything,
and I suppose I'll open a question here. Did any of you watch the United women's team play last night against PSG?
I did, not the full game, but I did, yeah.
Yeah.
I was in and out of it. I won't lie. It was just I had it on my phone, all right. So I was keeping tabs on it, and I won't lie. I wouldn't know much about women's football. I'm not going to say I know a whole lot about it, but just going by the way that PSG are one of the top women's teams, and Man United's women's team is only 4, 5, 6 years old, even
2018, yeah.
2018. That's it, yeah. So for a team that's only 5 years old to come out against one of the top European women's teams and play out a 1-1 draw at home, not a bad result. Now, I've said it from watching games across the Women's World Cup and watching United play last year, or the United women's team play last year. Mary Earps, can we keep her after January, please? Because
fantastic keeper.
Honestly, because what it is, I said this, and I can't remember if I said it to you straight out, but my opinion of Mary Earps is the way she plays. It's very much how we want to see Onana playing, and I'm not trying to divert it from the women straight back to the men's team, but it's just the way her style of keeper is. It's basically Onana without coming out to the halfway line. She's more than willing to come from outside the 18-yard box. She's willing to pass it around the back, play the short passes, but she has the saving ability to go with it then. And I'm liking the looks at because I won't lie, I slowly started getting into the women's team at the end of last season, and I was worried looking at the start lineups that how the team would be just absolutely gutted like a fish through with all the top players leaving, like Una Batil, how you pronounce this. You have Elisa Russo. You have so many different top players after leaving the club at the end of last season.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not one who knows a whole lot about women's football.
Mm-hmm.
But from the talk of some of the players that we've brought in, there's a Brazilian striker called Gacy, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And
correct.
There was, I'm going to be brutal pronunciation. There's I believe she was Japanese. I can't remember what position she plays, but just from the talk of these players, we might not have had a bad transfer window after all.
Yeah, listen, I cannot claim that I watch the women team so often. It's something on my to-do list, to be fair, to be more inclusive and to be more fair and to just to support the club behind it and just for equality also. I watched most of the game when we were losing, and then I missed the goal. Unfortunately, maybe that's the reason we scored when I turned it off. So maybe I'll try that with the men team.
Oh
You
no,
know?
in fairness, it was a great header from Millard, but
Yeah,
they had their chances. Like in fairness, I think
yeah,
was it Galton that had a goal ruled off? Was it for offside? I believe it was, but the chances were taken, and unfortunately, just with that offside, I think was the decision.
yeah,
We could have had the win, and what a win it would have been. Like
yeah.
we would be talking about him
we
more
we have a, we have
in
a
more
very
detail
good
now,
team.
wouldn't
Like I like Millie Turner. I like Ella Toon. She's the magical number 7 for me. Like really, it's impressive. Still hurts my heart when see Alessia Rosso playing for Arsenal. Hopefully, she'll be back home one day. But still, we for a 5-year-old team, we're in a good shape. You're playing one of the best teams. They were, I think, in the semifinals last year. PSG in the Champions League. They lost to Wolfsburg before the Wolfsburg goes to the final and loses to Barcelona. And we're still good. And I think there's more investments to do also from the club in the women team, not only in transfer. They play in the what was the stadium name? I forgot now.
Lay Sports
Late,
Village.
yeah.
Yeah, they only played the Derby or Arsenal. No, they played Arsenal there, but they only played the Derby in Old Trafford, which is not too fair. It's the club stadium, so it shouldn't be just separated. But hopefully, with this Champions League, so next week we're going back to Paris with the women's team,
Yeah.
and hopefully it will go well. And why not? It's a great thing to do and great thing to see. And Deck, up to you. I know you follow them along. You follow them a lot, and we've discussed it in the chat one about Rosso and everything. One, I think for me, like following the Irish women team in the World Cup in Australia, I'd love to see 2 Irish players joining Man United. One would be Katie Mcabe leaving Arsenal to come to Man United. I've seen her at Ireland, and she played good in Australia. And the other one, which I see also as added value, is Denise O'Sullivan. She's the captain of the Irish team, and
She's from Cork.
those would be a huge added value into the United women team, no?
Well, yeah, definitely, and I think we've always loved when Irish players have played for United. Women's League is coming on massive, and United's women's team are holding their own against everyone. They had a great season last season. Their first Premier League, our first Champions League game, and they're taking on PSG. No one gave them a chance, and they more than held their own. They're going to continue to get stronger and stronger. Skinner, the manager there, seems to know what he's doing, what style of play he wants. As you said earlier, I was gutted to see Russo leave. I think she's one of the top players, and for her to go to a rival was even worse, And I definitely think they should play more games in Old Trafford because, as you say, it's a club stadium. They get massive support when they're there. It's only going to get bigger. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what that women's team can do. Yeah.
Hopefully. Would you think Martial will get a place in that team?
No, he wouldn't.
No?
No.
Oh, you had to go there, didn't you?
He'd be on the bench again, and thankfully the women's team have enough subs that he wouldn't have to be brought on.
But like on a serious note, though, like, is there something on Old Trafford this week that they couldn't make way because they do the international break kind of go in line with the women's dates, so it would have made sense for their first ever Champions League game to be at Old Trafford. So
yeah, I was surprised it wasn't there now, especially against PSG.
And like I touched on this with Dick before in private conversation. Leigh Sports Village, it looks a great place, but there was a time where I'd been at Man United games going over the waters, and I wanted to go to a women's game, but the problem is the local transport is too and far between to get to Leigh Sports Village, and I think that's a problem where you're going to have people trying to go out to Leigh Sports Village. It's like we have our Irish sport, go over supporting the women's, but unless it's at Old Trafford, it's very hard to get actual public transport out to there, and I think that's a problem where on an overall basis, Man United fans will want to support the women's team. They will want to show their diehard support like they would for any of the youth teams. But the problem there is you're going to have the you're going to have the transport issue of getting out to the league. You're going to have the transport issue of getting out, especially at whatever time the game will finish after the game. So it's just an issue of, do they pull the trigger and start playing more games at Old Trafford?
Good man, Aaron Tobin, the fountain of knowledge, said the Super League final is on there this weekend. That's why it wasn't on. Good man, Aaron. Thank you.
Good man, Aaron. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah. Good. Our team in Kildare is like, they know everything, especially Aaron.
I suppose we better get him on some week.
Yeah, he's a good red, as all the Kildare lads are, in fairness. Now, met a few of them. They're good lads.
Yeah. Some skins, as they say.
Sounds good, and sounds good for today's episode. Let's wrap it up. Thank you for joining, for everyone who was live with us, and thank you, Dec and Darragh, for joining us and for the helpful insights and the short answers from Darragh. He kept it short, Dec, no?
I try to keep it short. Okay.
We let it after.
Okay. we let it. So hopefully, last week we ended it wishing for a happier episode. I'll just do it again. Let's wish a happier episode. Still now international break anyway. Let's see what to do next week. But hopefully we are back on track. Hopefully we win away. And thank you, Aaron, for joining us. He's joining every week, Aaron, and posting questions. And the guys from Kildare, the top lads. Darragh, Dec, any closing words?
Condolences to the Ferguson family, I suppose, from every red around the world on the passing of Cathy Ferguson. Everyone kind of knew what she meant to Sir Alex and how important a role she played. So, yeah, condolences.
Condolences to the Ferguson family. We forgot to mention that in the beginning. True.
Yeah.
Darragh, any closing word?
He said word.
That's it. He said,
That's one word, isn't it?
Yeah. Any closing comments, Darragh?
No, on a serious note, closing comments. Hopefully we're one day closer to the players eventually leaving the club.
100%.
100%. We have that on the radar. So thank you, lads, for your time. Enjoy talking to you as usual for every week, and talk to you soon. Up the Reds. Thank you.
Talk soon, lads. Cheers.
Thanks very much, guys. Take care.